facing the fears that I've been avoiding my whole life. And for me, that was, funny enough, as a photographer, the fear of being seen. And not so much for others, but more for myself, actually. And therefore, Anita, I really had to look at the wounds of abandonment, not feeling enough, losing my identity in relationships, and the silencing my truths to feel safe, actually. That required courage. And doing that, not hiding, meanwhile.
Today's guest is Michèle Sennesael, a photographer turned coach who invites us into the sacred art of seeing and being seen as a pathway back to self. After years of shaping herself to meet expectations, Michèle walked through a profound inner turning, a return to the parts of herself she once silenced to feel safe, loved, and accepted. Now she guides ambitious, sensitive humans, those who seem capable on the outside but feel quite disconnected within, back to the essence they've lost touch with, their voice, their softness, their truth, and their creative power. Welcome, Michèle.
Thank you so much, Anita, for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited for this. As we've talked before, my background, my first profession was photography. So I am absolutely excited for this conversation.
I know, me too. Thanks.
Thank you. So what is one of the most courageous things you have done?
Well, I've been thinking about that question, Anita, and I think back a couple of years ago, I would have said that eliminating all my stuff and moving to New York would have been the most courageous thing I ever did, or maybe quitting my job to pursue my passion. But actually, when I really think about it, it's something totally different. It is facing the fears that I've been avoiding my whole life. And for me, that was, funny enough, as a photographer, the fear of being seen. And not so much for others, but more for myself, actually. And therefore, Anita, I really had to look at the wounds of abandonment, not feeling enough, losing my identity in relationships, and the silencing my truths to feel safe, actually. And actually, that required courage. And doing that, not hiding, meanwhile, which I did.
Absolutely. I mean, that in itself is so courageous, just looking at your own life. So, yeah.
Yeah, and sitting with it and really looking at it and not trying to fix it. That's huge. Because that's what I did before. I tried to fix it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, yeah, you're so right in saying just sitting with it. That's so big. And so many people now are learning that that's the way to go if you really want to be able to adjust your life or evolve. It's not trying to fix it. There's nothing to fix.
Yeah. We're complete already.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how did your journey of photography start?
Well, my journey started, of course, I started photography, but I think I can say it started when I quit my job when I was working for the biggest newspaper in Belgium. I was working as a photo editor, and I quit my job to really pursue my passion. And that was doing something different with photography. And therefore, I moved to Nicaragua to teach street children photography workshops.
Wow.
And actually, I thought initially that I would change their lives, but they changed mine.
Yeah.
And I fell in love so much with them. And later, so I went back to Nicaragua and I lived with poor families in the slums. And what I saw, Anita, was it was not poverty how it's portrayed normally.
Yeah.
What I saw was love and faith and courage. And that became the title of the book that I published afterwards. It was, I just fell in love with their spirits. So afterwards, when I heard about the conflicts and the differences and the changes in the country, I went back. But that time I went back in a different way. I went back as a journalist again. And that time I got, just the week before I planned to go back to Belgium, I got arrested and
Oh,
deported from the country. Just like many journalists. But that in itself inspired me to quit, and because I lost everything, my camera, everything. So it inspired me to really eliminate even more and everything. And I moved to New York to push my photography, my passion for photography even more. And where I started documenting home birth in an apartment in Brooklyn. And later I documented birth in Guatemala, working with indigenous midwives.
wow.
And then back in the US, I got offered a scholarship actually to get a master's degree. And there I focused on visualizing the unseen.
Mm,
And actually, what I understood later was all those things prepared me for coaching,
yes.
as working with the street children was actually healing my inner child. And then later, the families that healed the wound I had with my family. And then working with the unseen gave me the power and the strength to really talk about the things I didn't dare to tell before and stop
Yeah.
hiding. So yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities between photography and coaching.
So is that what inspired you to shift from photography into coaching?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of similarities. So, like I said, and there's just, it's, both of them are about mirroring.
Mm,
And through photography, you use light in the lens. And through coaching, it's internally, it's by listening and just holding space. But right now, I still use both. When I take pictures, I coach a little when necessary.
mm.
And even in my coaching, I use my camera.
I can imagine. Absolutely beautiful. I love that. So what was a significant breakthrough or turning point in your own personal journey?
Well, a big turning point. Actually, I think I have two,
Hmm.
one external and one internal. And the external, I would say, would be when my father got unwell and dropped dead in front of my eyes when I was 25.
Wow.
That really changed everything. That changed my life completely. The feeling on time and control. And yeah, we're not here forever. We're not eternal. So, and then internally, what shifted a huge breakthrough for me personally was after being deported in Nicaragua, I kept on missing my people
Mm,
in Nicaragua so much. And that inspired me to really think about why I love them. Why did I love them so much? I traveled quite a bit before, but
mm,
why I love so much those people in Nicaragua? And you know what? It occurred to me that actually it was, they triggered something in me.
mm,
They triggered courage in me. The courage I became because of them, I became someone that I've never been before, that had faith. I was navigating in life very easily, and I trusted that the universe always had my back. And afterwards, I tried to grasp on people and find that similar feeling. But, I understood, and that was the biggest breakthrough. I understood that it was all inside of me. Yeah, I didn't have to look outside of me. I just could tap into that same courage. And this way I could turn that wound into a power.
So beautiful, and I'm so sorry about your dad as well.
Thank you.
How does the way we see ourselves, both from the inside and through the lens of others, shape how we show up in the world?
Well, I believe that if you see yourself through the lens of someone else, you shapeshift yourself to have a safe life and
Mhm.
not to live fully, actually. You adjust your actions to be accepted or maybe to impress. And Anita, that was me for the biggest part of my life. And you also have an inner lens, how you see yourself.
Mhm.
Some people also call it your self image. And that, for me, it was so distorted by old beliefs and narratives that didn't serve me, like being too much, not being good enough, being too sensitive.
Mhm.
And, I believe that clarity on that is crucial. It's fundamental in our lives because from clarity comes strategy, and from strategy comes success. And without it, we might be delusional. We might think that the things that we have in our mind are true, but actually they're not.
Mm. Love that. It's so poignant. Really love that. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Michelle, you've mentioned that transformation begins when we shift who we are, not just what we do. Can you share what that really means in practice?
Well, we are so much of doers, but I
Mm,
believe that for real transformation, it begins by asking yourself the question, who do I need to be? And
mm,
instead of doing, embodying things, and that requires to really pass it through your nervous system to find ways to regulate your body and to sit with it. And then we're able to transform.
yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. It's like you've really got to come back to who we are. And I think that's really doing the inner work as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You work with ambitious, sensitive humans. Why do you think this combination often leads to feeling unseen and disconnected?
Well, I'm an empath myself. I notice with my clients and with myself that often when we don't honor our sensitivity, we start using our ambition as an armor.
Mhm,
And yeah, then there's possibility of burning yourself out.
mhm.
I work with those people just because I've been that person before. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I can relate to that as well. And I think, the world does need more sensitive people. It's not about the hard, the ruthless people. Life's not like that. Life's a lot more gentle these days. Even in the business world, you've got to come from your heart.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, what does living fully mean to you now, and how has your understanding of it evolved over time, Michelle?
Well, that's exactly, it's perfect what you just said, Anita. Living from the heart. And courage comes from the core root, the Latin root heart. Courage is living with the heart and not from the head. When you live from the head, you are living out of fear and you're overthinking and then you get stuck and then all the bad things happens when you got in your head. But when you got into your heart, then you open up. But doesn't mean actually that when you live from the heart, that doesn't mean that you skip the fear.
Yes.
You face the fear. You look the fear into the eyes, but nevertheless, you move through the fear. And the more you do that, the more you look the fear into the eyes, you'll see that the fear will disappear.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. You are the author of the book Heroes Stories of Love, Faith, and Courage. Tell me more about that. I know you touched on it earlier, but yeah, tell me more about that. I love the title.
Well, yeah, actually, that book that came very organically because at that time I did have a nonprofit to support the street children in Nicaragua. And by publishing that book, I wanted to spread the love and the message into the world. And it was a way also to support my nonprofit. And with that book, what I did actually, I showed those images during 1 month, the month of December, in very luxury windows of luxury shops.
Wow.
And the beauty of it is because when you do something like that, you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of it was that those participants, those shops, they started collaborating. It created a connection between them. And before that, they saw each other as competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And the warm families in Nicaragua transmitted that energy. So the shop owners became one big family. And until today, they collaborate.
Wow. I mean, that is a real example of what they call the ripple effect. How beautiful is that?
It is. It is. And you never know. That's the
Mm.
beauty of it. If you dare to really have faith to stay in your truth and act upon courage, you never know what's going to happen. Because, yeah, the knowing, it's all in the head. But when you move to the heart, you step into the unknown.
Absolutely. Love that. Absolutely. What is one of the most important lessons you've learned over your life so far? Because you've done a lot of things and traveling, and especially, like you said, being a journalist.
Well, the most important lesson for me is stay true to who you are.
Mm.
You are perfect already. Trust that. Show up as you. Have the courage to dare to speak out the things that, even if you feel embarrassed, even if you feel like, oh my God, what will they say? If you do that, then you inspire other people. You might inspire other people. You never know who you might inspire. And that on itself, it shifts everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what would you say to someone that's listening that wants to feel safe in their own skin and doesn't, they're kind of thinking, oh, it's all right for everybody else. I can't do that. I can't speak up. They're, terrified of having a voice.
What I would say is start small.
Mhm.
Don't try to get overwhelmed, but trust. Trust your inner voice. And your inner voice is something that you hear when you become silent. It's always there. Dare to listen. It will never betray you. So really come to yourself and quiet the noise, and you'll hear.
And it's so true because it's when we quieten down, be with things, is when we can hear the most.
It is.
So interesting, isn't it?
But it requires practice.
Mm.
That's a thing. Many people, I believe, maybe referring to myself in the beginning, I was also impatient and I wanted to hear, and what am I supposed to hear? I have all those questions. But actually, it's a practice. It's like riding a bicycle. You have to do it over and over and over again to master it. But once you master it, you'll understand that the thing that you were searching for is within you and it's always been.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as one photographer to another, I've got to ask you this question. Can you name a few of your favorite photographs around the world and the places you've seen? What's your favorites?
That's a very difficult question. That's a very difficult question for me because, the world is so beautiful and it has so many different flavors. But when I really have to answer that question, what is my favorite place? I think I'll link it to the feeling I had.
Absolutely.
What did it provoke in me? Like, for example, Nicaragua, the feeling it gave me, it lit my heart. Yeah. Photographers, there's so many. There's so many. I started out way back when I studied, when I was 18 years old. I focused back then on the big group of Magnum.
Okay.
But over the years that evolved and so many names, so many talented photographers. Yeah.
Wow. If there was one key takeaway you want every listener to walk away with today, what would that be?
Well, that brings me to something for a long time ago, I heard Maya Angelou saying, the courage is the most important of all virtues, she said. And I'm going to read it here. Because she said, without courage, you might know what's right, but not do it when it becomes difficult. You may want to be honest, but stay silent when telling the truth could cause trouble. You may want to be kind or fair, but give in to fear or pressure. You might change your values depending on the situation instead of staying true to them. Without courage, your other good qualities like honesty, kindness, and patience may not show up, especially when they matter the most. Courage helps you stand strong and live according to your values, no matter the situation. And imagine, Anita, who would we be if we would live in that courageous state all the time?
Yes.
And imagine how the world would be.
It's limitless.
There would not be war. It would be beautiful. Yeah.
So, Michèle, where can the listeners find you online, your book? What's your website?
My website is my name. It's spelled MicheleSennesael. And everything, my book, everything on that is on my website, actually.
Thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others make a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for that, Michèle Sennesael.
Thank you so much, Anita. It was a true pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Thank you. With that said, we are all about Create the Courage to be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
Courage is, like I said, living from the heart, with love, not fear.